Hello, and welcome to today's workshop, Managing Stress and Building Resilience for Men. My name is Andy from Laurelbrook Training and Consultancy. I'm here today on behalf of Medway Council. I've worked in the mental health industry for over 4 years, and I'm a huge advocate for openness and discussion around mental health, but particularly for men. We're now going to look at some of our objectives for today to understand the psychological mechanisms of stress and its impact on daily life, to identify stress triggers and recognize typical responses to stress, learn strategies to challenge and break down the stigma associated with seeking help, learn and practice effective stress management techniques, including mindfulness and time management strategies, and develop skills to build emotional resilience, including cognitive behavioral techniques, emotional regulation, and fostering a growth mindset. Brief introduction to stress. So stress is the body's reaction to feeling threatened or under pressure. We usually feel stressed when we feel out of control or in a situation where demands are placed on us that feel too much. Is stress good for us? Probably not for most cases. Can it be good for us? Yes, in some scenarios, of course it can. Continued stress can lead to a mental health problem, and experiencing a lot of stress over a long period of time can also lead to feeling of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion, often called burnout or emotional snapping. Some facts and figures. So, according to the Mental Health Foundation, 34% of men reported feeling worried or low due to work-related stress. 1 in 8 men in England suffer from a common mental health condition such as depression, anxiety, or obsessive compulsive disorder. And those figures are from NHS Digital in 2014, so pre-pandemic and may differ today. Men are less likely than women to access psychological therapies. In England, only 36% of referrals to the NHS's IAP service, which is their improving access to psychological therapy service, were from men. And that figure is from NHS Digital in 2020. The number of men experiencing suicidal thoughts has doubled since 2009. And that fact is from Mind in 2019, so pre-pandemic as well. And men are now almost 3 times more likely to see a therapist if they're worried compared to 2009. And again, that figure's from Mind in 2019. So may differ today post-pandemic, but a tripling of men seeking support in a decade, I think, is at least a positive step. Why are men stressed? I think that's a question for all of us to answer. Why are men stressed? Is it mostly male-dominated issues? Is it everyday stuff? Is it stuff that affects everybody? We just have a little think about that for ourselves. Why are men stressed? Why are you stressed? Why are we stressed? So some causes of stress. Societal expectations, huge one for men. There's a lot of toxic ideas, toxic masculinity out there at the moment, definitely. Some outdated ways of thinking and speaking about being a man. Some outdated definitions of what it is to be a man. Work-related stress. Again, that links quite well with societal expectations. Are you expected to be the main breadwinner or even the sole provider? The man of the house, the head of the household, head of the family? Relationship issues, of course, can affect anybody. Physical health, something we probably don't think about a lot. So if you're dealing with a physical health condition, that can bring its own stress and pressures along with it. Mental health stigma, huge one for men. If you're dealing with mental health issues and that stigma is a part of it or there for you, not being able to open up and seek the right support brings much more pressure and stress as well. Social isolation, another big one for men, particularly post-pandemic. Loss or grief, which of course can affect anybody at any time. Fear of failure, which I think links back in well with societal expectations and work-related stresses as well. And then suppressing emotions. I think that comes back to societal expectations and of course the stigma. Suppressing emotions because of all those outdated stuff. I'm sure we've all had some of it said to us. Some of my personal favourites, man up, be a man. Anybody had that said to be a man? That's hilarious. What's your definition of a man? Because if you're using a phrase like that to me, it's probably not the same as my definition of a man. Men don't cry. Another classic. And I can tell you, uh, they're all rubbish and they're all wrong because men do cry. Um, somebody's definition of a man isn't necessarily the right one, because it's all about what you see as a successful man. How do you respond to stress? So we have fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So I'm sure everybody will have heard of the fight or flight, and that has been adapted recently, with freeze and fawn as well. And we'll just briefly run through this. So the fight response is to confront the threat with anger, maybe rage, demanding, controlling. Flight, run away, avoid, anxiety, panic, rumination, thinking over and over about it. Freeze, shut down, disassociate, numbness, low energy, or sometimes actually literally freeze, cannot move, cannot do anything. And fawn, which is to appease the threat, people pleasing, codependency, drop your boundaries, just go along with it, be easily controlled, even if sometimes it is against your morals or your ethics, and sometimes that is just a reaction. And the question is, how do you respond? How do you respond to stress? Because I'm sure it'll be different for each scenario, because every person is different, but it may even be different for every scenario for you. You might have a different response at work than you would at home, than you would at a football match, than you would with friends or family. So it may vary every time, and just to be aware of our reaction, our response to this. What are some of the symptoms of stress? So, in the body, the mind, emotionally, and behaviorally, the body will have reactions such as headaches, stomach pain, muscle aches, skin irritations, fatigue, nausea. I'm sure everybody listening and watching today has experienced at least some of that at some stage. The mind, worrying, lack of concentration, impaired memory, which is something we don't speak about a lot. So high stress scenarios massively affect our short-term memory. Poor judgment, or maybe even impaired speech. Emotions, agitation, unhappiness, feeling overwhelmed or just sad. Restlessness, so can't stay easy, and isolation. And then behaviors, eating and sleep changes, and that could go up or down either way. So less sleep, more sleep, overeating, undereating. It can vary for every person and every scenario. Using drugs or alcohol, which of course we know is there's figures to suggest it's a massive coping mechanism for men. Pacing, which comes back to restlessness. Nail biting, I've been guilty of that myself. Withdrawn comes back to isolation. So withdrawn, avoid. How long can I stay away from this till it goes away? The stress container exercise. So this one is actually really, really good, really important. It's one I use very, very regularly for myself to regulate my own stress levels, my own emotions. So, as you can see on the slide, we have a stress container or a stress bucket. Everybody has a stress bucket. Everybody. For some people, it's big. Other people, it's quite small. It'll vary for everybody. It doesn't matter what size your own is. What matters is using it healthily. So at the top, we have taps, and they're going to add our stressors in. And that can range from family pressure at home, financial related pressures, work stress, um, family politics, all sorts, absolutely everything you can imagine. And that constantly, all day, every day, adds into our stress bucket. And that's absolutely fine because it's okay to have stress in our stress bucket. What we can't have is a stress bucket with no holes and no taps at the bottom because it overflows and then we have burnout. So the idea of this exercise is to look at those taps at the bottom or those holes and make sure you have a healthy amount for the size of your bucket. And each of those stress relievers at the bottom can be different for everybody. It might be going to see a football match, playing in a football match, reading a book, meditation, mindfulness, jigsaw puzzle, singing, watching TV, going for a meal. It can vary. So it's just a matter of recognizing what yours are and knowing when to turn them on and when they need to be used. As you can see, the tap at the side. So this is our unhealthy coping mechanisms, which, and we'll use an extreme example, could be drug or alcohol abuse, which is a coping mechanism and is helping you to deal with that stress. But as you can see, it's interlinked because it's funneling back in and adding more stress to the stress bucket. Men are often expected to be strong, stoic, and self-reliant, and asking for help can be perceived as a sign of weakness. This societal pressure can prevent men from seeking the support they need, perpetuating the stigma around mental health. And that's a quote from the Mental Health Foundation. And I could not agree with that more. Having worked in this industry for a long time, there is a massive stigma around men in particular and their mental health. How do we break the stigma? So understand that seeking help is a sign of self-awareness, not weakness. Encourage open discussions about mental health with peers, colleagues, and family. Bust common myths like therapy means you are weak. Lots of men have used therapy and report improved life satisfaction. Utilizing your network, of course, reaching out to people. Promoting mental health awareness, of course, is very important. And recognize you are not alone. That's a big one for me because we are built to believe everything is happening to us and us only, and everything is forever. The brain is designed that way. But I can tell anybody listening or watching here today, you're not alone. There is support. There is help. It might not feel like it right now. It might feel incredibly hard. There's no magic button. Nobody's going to fix everything for you and fix you and change you overnight. That's not going to happen. There is work and effort to put in, but it's so worth it. It really is. And just knowing that there's others out there and that support is there is a massive thing on that journey to recovery. So seeking help is a sign of resilience and strength, not a sign of weakness. I hope we'd all definitely agree with that. So some stress management techniques. Mindfulness, the here and now. So mindfulness is a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling at the moment without interpretation or judgment. Practicing mindfulness exercises can help you direct your attention away from negative or random thoughts that might be draining and help you engage with the world around you. Research shows that mindfulness helps to improve focus, reduce stress, and enhance overall well-being. Examples include walking, the five senses exercise, journaling, progressive muscle relaxation, and breathing exercises. And I'll just add another couple of examples to that as well. Because mindfulness, the pure definition of it is taking your mind off things. So any exercise, anything that you're doing, that you can solely focus on that and relax your brain and stem those negative thoughts for that period of time. It's a mindfulness activity, definitely. Um, for me, it would be jigsaw puzzles. I find is a huge one, and a little bit of Lego as well. Uh, Tends to really focus my mind. So it's not always the traditional version that you would think of when you think of mindfulness, because some people hear the word mindfulness and think, well, no, I don't want to do journaling or breathing exercise or go walking. That's not for me. That's going to add to my stress levels. So imagine mindfulness as just any activity you can do where you can solely focus on that activity. Managing your time, important one in this extremely busy 24/7 Insta world that we live in. So prioritize your tasks, break down your tasks into manageable steps, block out time for certain tasks, and use tools to help: calendars, to-do lists, planners. Limit distractions. Might be an idea if you have some important task to maybe put your mobile phone away if it's not needed for the task. Do not multitask as it increases stress and does not increase productivity. Set boundaries and learn to say no. Maintain a healthy work-life balance. And of course, all of this is a lot easier said than done. Very simple to say, oh, just say no. But it's just about managing where you're at and what you can handle at the minute, and being open. Um, and being open will allow you to then set those boundaries by being honest with yourself first. Building emotional resilience. So we're going to look at cognitive restructuring. So we identify the negative thought, we find the evidence, we challenge the thought, replace it with a balanced thought, and then we reinforce that. And I'm hoping that makes sense to everybody. We'll go through a brief example. So I'm not good enough for my wife, my partner. That is a negative thought that I'm sure a lot of people have had at some stage, or maybe not good enough for the job, whatever it may be. But we'll use partner as an example. So evidence. What evidence do I have? And of course, all of these exercises are much easier said than done, but it's just about repetition, practice, and then reinforcing it to yourself. So do I have evidence that I'm not good enough? Of course, my brain will find an argument we had 6 years ago. But if I really think about it and use logic, which is hard to do at this stage, but you've got to look for that logical evidence. So do I have evidence to suggest I'm not good enough? Well, I have some evidence to suggest I'm really good. We're really, really good together. I make her very happy. She makes me happy. I'm a good father. I'm a good husband. And then challenge the thought with that evidence. So identify the negative thought. I'm a terrible partner to my wife. Find the evidence. Absolutely, actually not. She professes that she's really happy with me. Challenge the thought using the evidence. Okay, so that must be wrong because she says she's happy, and replace with a balanced thought. So the balance would be: relationships are difficult, but I am in a good relationship. She's in a good relationship. I'm going to think sometimes that things are bad because it's a bad day or a bad thought, and then reinforce that. And that can be done with lots of different scenarios. And sometimes this might be 10,000 times a day because of that negativity constantly coming. But the more you do it, the repetition, it becomes subliminal then. And all of a sudden, that restructuring, that cognitive restructuring of thinking that different way. How to regulate your emotions. So practice self-awareness. Communicate openly to people you trust. Adopt mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Challenge negative thoughts. Develop coping strategies that are going to suit you. Exercise regularly. Healthy body, healthy mind. Maintain a balanced lifestyle. And practice self-compassion. That's a big one. Big one. Self-compassion for men in particular. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself credit for all the things you do right. And communicating openly to people you trust. That comes back to stigma as well. So if we can start with people that we trust, our inner circle, our close friends, close family, and maybe break that stigma down if support is needed. Challenging negative thoughts, as we just looked at. And then how do you cope? What are your coping strategies? Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So what is a fixed mindset? I give up easily. Failure is the limit of my abilities. I avoid challenges. My intelligence is static. I can't learn anymore. I stick to what I know. I'm either good at it or I'm not. Fixed mindset. I'm good at it or I'm not. I like that one. I'm good at it or I'm not. Because that's an easy one to go, oh, that's evidence. That's a very easy one. Oh, that's evidence that my negative thoughts are right. I'm just not good at it. I just can't. Well, at one stage, you probably weren't good at talking. Maybe babbled, but you learned. At one stage, you probably weren't good at reading, but you learned. So why didn't we stop then? Oh, one stage, you might not have been good at driving. So then you just stopped. Oh, no, I'm not good at it. That's that. So the growth mindset. Failures offer opportunity and growth. I learn from feedback. Love that one. Because that's a difficult one. What if the feedback is negative? It can be hard to take. We all have egos. It can be hard to take. It can affect us. But if you have that growth mindset, it becomes easier to take that on. I'm inspired by other people's success. And I keep trying and never give up. And that's a really, really positive mindset. I keep trying and never give up. There is a quote that I'm going to use. I'm sure I heard it from former footballer Gary Neville. I just think it's really powerful, actually. And it's failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. I really like that one. So failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. Because what does a bruise do? It heals, goes away. You don't remember that bruise you had on your leg 4 years ago. Tattoo you would because it's still there. But failure is not a tattoo, it's not permanent. Some local and national resources for anybody who is seeking a little bit more support right now. So we have Shout, which is a text service, and you can text them 24/7. It's confidential and it's free, and that's 85258. You can contact your local Mind from Medway, which is North Kent Mind. For the LGBTQ plus community, we have the switchboard helpline on 0300 330 0630. Of course, we have Samaritans 24/7 listening service 116 123. And some other services there. The Campaign Against Living Miserably, open 5 p.m. to midnight. Calm. The National Suicide Prevention Service, which are 24/7. If you're under 25, there is the Mix, which are open 3 p.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. And of course, the brand new service on 111, Select Mental Health. And that is a mental health crisis line. which is available nationwide. And to end today's workshop, I'll ask, what techniques will you be using moving forward to manage stress and build resilience for you? I really hope you've enjoyed today's workshop and have got a lot from the techniques that we've discussed and gone over today. The very, very best of luck in your journey. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.